Hello. Okay, cool. That actually worked. Usually when I start recording, I have to fiddle with the microphone settings. But it seems to be doing okay, so here we go. They announced Dracania Awakening a little while ago, and I wanted to go over some of the more interesting looking aspects of the class, and then we'll watch the video. What was that in an entirely new tab? Watch the little video here. I got it pulled up just right before the combat stuff. So, if you're interested in lore, you can go read this yourself. I really could not care less. So, name of the weapon, Tryon. I assume that's how it's pronounced. Um, Two spears. One's like a big, bulky spear thing, if you can even call that a spear. And then the other is like an actual spear. Real Sephiroth vibes with the one wing, though. I'm liking it. I'm really liking it. So, in our combat direction for Awakening, Dracania was developed around her wielding two spears. We chose this type of weapon as we felt it might be the best match for her concept and story, giving adventurers feeling of wielding a dragon's might. Her succession does plenty of giving the feeling of might, let me tell you. It hits like a fucking freight train. Her combat style is largely divided into two styles, Hexblood and Dragonblood. Uh, this is going to be really important, I believe. We'll get into more into that. She can switch back and forth between both, and her combat style will differ depending on her state. So my guess is that um, she has two stances, we'll call them, kind of like a ninja does in Awakening, right? And her skills change depending on what stance she's in. You can kind of see that here. Uh, see Tectonic Slam, but they have different icons and different um, animations, different descriptions. So could be really, really interesting. Um, in her Hexblood state, she wields two smaller spears to unleash a barrage of quick and agile attacks. I don't think their definition of quick is the same as mine. Like when I think of fast classes, I think of like Awakening Nova, Suck Kuno, Suck Ninja, right? But we'll see. Um, when Dracania was released, we saw some feedback that her concept was good. Her slower speed, sorry, I don't know what my mind put attack in there, was disappointing. This is extremely true for a lot of people. Don't get me wrong, Dracania is still hella strong, but while she moves somewhat quickly, her attacks are giga slow. And to compensate, which that's why they hit so hard. Um, that's why I wanted to provide a more agile combat style with her awakening in sharp contrast with her succession. So, we've seen how this goes with Awakening Nova, right? Very, very slow, bulky, clunky feeling pre awakening, while a very, very fast, uh, agile awakening. The two pre-awakening and awakening do not mesh well. That's one of the problems with awakening Nova, right? If you look at awakening Kuno or awakening Ninja, they have a lot of useful skills in their pre-awakening, right? Even if they are awakening, a lot of useful skills, and that only became more prevalent with the reworks, right? I guess is the best way to put it. Um, Nova, for example, though, does not have many useful skills in her pre-awakening. Um, like that's not entirely true. There's just huge, huge drawbacks to going into pre-awakening that make it nearly worthless. Um, but it's still good against like if you're fighting a Sork, going into pre-awakening is good, right? Because they don't have a grab. Anyway, but it doesn't feel good. Getting distracted. On the other hand, her dragon blood state emphasizes her draconic nature in the form of destructive power, unlike the speed of her hexblood state. In this form, Draconia's left-handed spear is transformed into a dragon's massive horn. That's what this is, and her dragon aspect can be seen in her skills. So you can see here she's got two spears, not the big bulky one, right? God, this could be so good. This could be so, so good, you know? Um, Differing from our existing classes, we started developing Awakened Dracania after the release of her succession, as this was a new direction for us and with so many people eagerly awaiting for its release. We're thrilled to be able to present you with this announcement. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you. If this is done right, this whole Hexblood and Dragonblood state is done right, it could be really cool. It could basically negate the fact that her pre-awakening might feel useless. That's like I said with Awakening Nova. Um, I don't know if this means her awakening kit's just going to be bigger in general because she'll have, I don't want to say two weapons in her awakening, right? But kind of, I guess. So, primary skills. Aerial burst, unleash the might of dragons upon enemies, then drive your Tryon into their hearts. So it looks like your typical Shift F slash Shift Q ability, right? An AoE around you. Animations are cool. I wish I could see this in a higher FPS, but and don't worry, it's not just the YouTube. It's the really, really low FPS in here. Doombringer, channel the winds into Tryon's left spear. Ascend, then come crashing down to the ground. I wish I could watch this frame by frame. This might be a skill that puts her into the dragonblood state. I don't see the dragon's horn at the beginning. I love the one wing. It's so cool. Tectonic Slam. Hexblood. Dragonblood. Cool. So I doubt she'll have a big... Maybe she might have a bigger kit than normal in her awakening, but I assume the skill itself will have, kind of like Nova's Excel, you know, there's different descriptions for the Excel version and the normal version. That's probably what it'll be. And they'll just have a few skills that differ depending on which stance you're in. And maybe certain skills, maybe like this one, will switch you. Combine both spears to channel the winds, then charge toward the enemy. So this is probably like a movement skill. It looks very much like a movement skill. And depending on how quickly it flows from one into the other, I guess before and after, right? Could be useful. But this is Hexblood, so I'm assuming it'll probably have cancels. Because this is supposed to be the fast, agile version. But again, they said the succession was going to be quicker than Warrior because her sword was smaller. And I wasn't like, oh, that sounds badass. Let's go. And then it wasn't at all in any sense of the word. Dragonblood. Combine both spears, then unleash the winds forward to push back the enemy. Please don't add a knockback to mobs on this skill. I know they're going to, but I guess it doesn't matter for most high-end grinders, right? Because a lot of mobs don't get pushed back. But, like, it just reminds me of trying to grind Achman on Kuno, and, like, Fatal Blow was pushing them back, and Shadow Explosion was pushing them back, and it's just like, why? Why? Looks cool, though. Sundering Roar. Hexblood. Channel the winds into your Tryon's left spear, then unleash them forward. Set your right spear aflame, then leave a burning claw mark on the ground. That is a really cool animation. I love the two spears. I'm a big fan of the weapon, I gotta say. I um if any of you have played Super Smash Brothers, in the Ultimate, I guess we'll say, or better yet, just Fire Emblem in general, because I'm talking about one of the characters of Fire Emblem, Corrin, this may look familiar to you. Because it certainly does to me. Interesting. So this is the same skill as this one. This is just the Dragonblood version. Channel the winds into your Tryon's left spear, then call upon the might of dragons to unleash an earth-shattering roar forward. Your destructive dragon breath decimates all enemies ahead. So this is probably your nuke. I mean, it looks like a nuke skill. Like, that looks so cool. Unfortunately, it'll never look this cool when I play the game because my computer's outdated, let's say, at this point. Dracania Awakening will be released on Wednesday, July 27th. So, what is that, 2 weeks from now, give or take? We'll do it best to present you with, I guess a week and a half or so. All right. So, now we got the, let's... Okay. Hold up. Okay. Bro, that's so long. So, okay, that's the Sundering Roar, right? Right at the end here. Okay, a little further back. That, right there. Huh. Yo. Is that 100%? That looked like 100%, right? And she said something, and they seem to be doing this thing where they add, excuse me, voice lines for your 100%s. Okay, she can glide somewhat with that ability. I'm digging it. Oh, she does no damage. She took 2 hits to kill. Polly's clearly a weak class. Come on. Look at that distance. Like from here to there? Let me find out she has like 0 stamina costs as well, you know? Because aside from like Kuno, Suck Mei, um, Suck Ninja, I should say Suck Kuno, let's be real. Awaken Kuno doesn't have stamina issues. She's got a billion lingers. There aren't many classes that struggle with stamina, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Awaken Nova definitely does have stamina costs. I'm not gonna say issues because she also has lingers, or at least long-lasting SAs. Um, but this is, it's not instant, so that's good. You can turn it, I guess. Dude, the 200%. Unfortunately, as fucking cool as that 200% is, I don't think it's gonna be strong enough to be good. Like how many classes have good 200%s? I think the only one that I can recall is like Suck Zerk, and that got nerfed. Now it's just like decent. Um, okay, so it does seem somewhat quick. I don't think it's on the level of Ninja or Kuno, but obviously that like they don't include cancels and stuff in these usually because they're showing off animations most of all. Like I remember watching the Awakening Nova and being like, "Oh, it looks fairly quick," and it turned out to be fucking fast as shit. Um, so that could very well be the case here. Animation wise, fucking 10 out of 10. The effects are cool. The character animations are badass. I love the wing and like the shadowy wing when she does that like flying thing. Every character has to have a skill where they jump up in the air and come back down. It's one of Drakania's most broken skills in her succession. The Shift L and B. That and Brimbolt and its flow. Then again, anything that does ions is just broken. So, um, every new class seems to have a weird gimmick since I don't know the last couple of years, right? What I think what is it? Nova. It started with Nova, right? I don't think Sage really had a gimmick. That might be an exception, but Nova, for example, in her succession, she's got the pawns, right? The summons, the pets, or whatever. That's her gimmick. The Awakenings excel. It's all about the excel, right? You build up your excel. You're like decent outside of excel. You pop excel, you're a god. At least maybe not so much anymore, but that's how it used to be, right? Um, Corsair. So Corsair, the mermaid skills. The rest of her kit is literally just for protections, like forward guards and essays and stuff. And then her all of her powers and like her mermaid skills. That was her gimmick. That and that they applied like the can't regenerate your block, whatever it's called. So I'm assuming Draconia's gimmick and awakening is this Hexblood, Dragonblood thing. Now, it could be really really good. You know, if there's a lot of like decision making between swapping the two, right? In terms of combos and in terms of like neutral combat, neutral being, in like a 1v1 or 3v3 where you're, nobody's CC'd, but you're trying to get CCs or trade damage, applied slows, etc. Um, it's generally neutral, neutral game. Um, it could be amazing, right? Because if they put a lot of emphasis on this, it could very much separate, bad players from good players, and then we don't have at least as much of a problem, assuming she's strong. Like, please don't be succession strong. Please don't. But let's just say she's good, viable. Um, a good player technically could utilize this stance change to do really, really cool shit and make the class, you know, seem really, really strong. And that would mean that people who just pick up the class, in day one aren't, top fragging or whatever. Like Succession Dracania does not take any brain power or decision making, right? You just fucking move around and you use your skills. And then, when you get an ion ability to pop off, you killed 3 people. Or you just pop your ebuff and everything's an ion ability and you're killing 3 people every skill. Um, so I'm hoping that she's good, but not broken, and that a lot of the power will be in decision making rather than just brain dead. Everything's protected. Slam your face on the keyboard. Go take a nap while you PA yourself and heal yourself for 70% of your HP. So I do have a Dracania. Actually, I need to have her go hit the dummies because I forgot I closed it. I was playing Tarkov and I didn't want to lag my Tarkov, so I need to log back in and have her hit more dummies. But I don't remember if I ever tested her absolute versions of her movement because her succession, I'll say, because I don't know for sure about her pre-awaken kit in general. Her succession movement is good, right? She has like a what is it, 3 second cooldown iframe. Her shift F is fast. She has forward arm B and several other skills that are like good movement. If she can flow between some of those in her pre-awakening to her awakening, her movement's gonna be insane. Um, especially with the skill where she moves. Yeah, this right here. That's so I would assume that's going to be a really long cooldown. Like I'm thinking like a 20-second cooldown skill, 30-second cooldown skill. I kind of hope not, but at the same, it's very conflicting, right? Because like on one hand, Succession Zerker exists. That's a class that exists in Black Desert, and it can move like crazy without any cooldown issues, any fucking stamina issues, and all that. Now, obviously, in my opinion, that's not okay, right? But Warrior can more or less do the same, just nowhere near as protected. In fact, I think a lot of Warrior's movements mostly unprotected or forward guard. And if they're, running away from you, then the forward guard's kind of worthless or whatever, right? Solar Flare is only protected with the bond. Though it's so fucking fast, it doesn't really matter all that much. But you get what I'm saying, right? Kuno got nerfed because people complained about the movement. Um, in my opinion, I don't think it's the movement, but that's a separate issue. I just think if Kuno was visible, people would be far more okay with it, right? That again, a separate issue. I don't want to get into it because I will get into it and I'll distract myself. So part of me wants this to be a short cooldown because it's a cool skill, and I love cool skills like this. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to fucking fly up? Look how far that goes. That's insane. I love the shadowy wing when she uses her skill here. I'm gonna guess this is just a complete hypothetical thing here. But anytime I see her use what I think to be a dragonblood skill, okay, nope, not here. But a lot of the times is when she has the shadow wing out. So, so maybe you can't use that dash unless you're in like the dragonblood, which is supposed to be kind of a slower version. That would be an interesting way to balance a very strong movement skill, but it also depends on how easy she can move between stances. I mean, I don't think it's like if it's like Awakening Ninja, it's not very difficult to move between the stances, right? Sorry, I'm just taking a drink of water. All the talking. Anyway, so if that's the case, and there is some sort of it's not super easy to just switch between stances, then maybe that's a way to balance it, right? That way you can keep it on a relatively short cooldown, let people, use it a lot and have fun with it without it being too broken because you're in the slower, you have the slower weapon out. You're in the fucking dragon blood state. um, it all looks really cool. I'm very excited. We're not too far off. Um, I did apply for the like play it early thing. If I can, if I get it, and I will stream it. The problem is, I've said this before. I work evening shifts on like weekdays, so I believe they're supposed to hand them out today. Sorry, I keep burping. I'm today or tomorrow. I have to go. Is it here? Oh, let's see if we can find it real quick. It would just be in announcements, right? Yeah, early access. So if you're interested, just go to the announcements, come to this early access page. They'll tell you how to apply for early access. It's just 100 adventurers, 50 from NA, 50 from EU, randomly selected. I'm surprised they should they should, in my opinion, give their partners access and then do 50 and 50, right? That would seems like it would make more sense to me, right? Um, but as far as I know, they're not doing that. But yeah, you can apply here. It's pretty easy. You don't have to go, follow their YouTube and their Twitter and their fucking Facebook and say I love BDO. I would suck. I'm gonna stop myself right there. Moving on. Now, ba-da-ba-da. When? I just want to know. Oh, early access July 22nd. Okay, so to July 27th. Okay, so after, I guess sometimes during here or in between the 19th and 22nd is when they'll announce. So the 19th and 22nd. Great. That means I would technically, assuming I get and have the time to stream it on the weekend, that would be very, very nice. But who knows? It's random, and I'm sure there'll be tons of people applying for this. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers everything. Could be really cool. Could be my next main because I really don't believe they're gonna buff Kuno. Um, we did get buffs to some classes like Mewa and Hash, Sage, right? Some significant buffs um, to May, Hash, and Sage. I think Suck Hash is gonna make a pretty strong comeback. Mewa was already like decent, but like not decent enough to be like a meta class because it was just outshined by Musa. Maybe that's different now. Um, but I still think Musa will probably be better. Oh, shit. I just broke the handle off my water bottle. Well, anyway, but this most recent global labs patch, excuse me, we got like a bunch of nothing in terms of like class balance. So I maybe they're done, but we thought they were done before, and then they started buffing things again. So maybe they're just doing it in small batches, so they have time to look at things and be like, okay, we don't need to nerf it. This isn't a good spot. Let's move on to the other classes that need help. Um, yeah, I will definitely tag and play this when it comes out. I will try to stream it. At, more than likely, I will only be able to stream it on the weekend, 30th and 31st. Again, unless I get like the early access next week. So, I am very much ready to fucking fly. Yeah, I'm hyped. All right. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys are excited. I get excited for every new class regardless, just because they always do a really good job at designing interesting looking classes, at least. So we'll see how it actually ends up being. Personally, I think Succession Draconia was a big disappointment for reasons that they said. It was much slower, even though they said it was going to be fast, and it just wasn't. Maybe they'll actually get it right this time. Um, yeah. Either way, it'll be fun to play and mess around with to start with. You can get a few hours of fun played time out of it, and tagging or not tagging. Yeah, tagging and copying your gear isn't super expensive since they halved it. So yeah. Um, what are you guys' thoughts? And tell me in the comments. I'm actually genuinely curious. You know, like this Hexblood and Dragonblood thing could be really really cool. What do you think the class is going to be? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. Peace out.